This is LDV's new ute, the Terron 9. It's a diesel dual cab 4x4 with a ladder frame chassis, more than a ton of payload, 3.5 ton towing, and a price point that might surprise you. And in this review, I'm going to tell you everything you need to know about it, whether it's a good truck or not, and the best alternatives to it too. So let's chat about it, shall we? Thanks for subscribing. Let's go. The Terron 9 isn't as cheap as some of the other Chinese utes out there. In fact, it's going to sit above the existing T60 ute range, which will continue on and offer a bit more of a budget alternative. But this one is a bigger truck, as I'll show you shortly, and it's also a bit of a different design because it's a unibody vehicle. So it doesn't have a gap between the cab and the tub, and that means you get a bit more space inside and a bit more tub space as well. But I'll show you all the details that you need to know shortly. But let's talk about the model that are on offer here, and you will see some different pricing popping up as we go through it because, well, there's ABN pricing, which is discounted compared to the retail pricing, and in fact there is an introductory offer for the Terron 9, and that will save you even more money. So let's talk about what's on offer. The entry-level grade is called Origin. This is it right here, the base model, and it still comes very, very well equipped for the kind of money that's being asked, especially for a vehicle of this size. You're getting things like 18-inch alloy wheels with highway terrain tyres and a matching alloy spare. There's automatic bi-LED headlights, rain-sensing wipers, you get a tow bar and wiring harness standard, there's a rear diff lock, side steps, a spray-in tub liner, and it gets the black pack on the outside with black roof rails and mirror caps. You also get a locking tailgate with spring lift assistance, and on the inside you're getting things like 12.3-inch digital instrumentation and a 12.3-inch touchscreen media system with wired and wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. It only gets a 4-speaker sound system and it gets cloth seat trim, but it gets a power adjustable driver's seat and a bunch of USB ports on the inside. And then there's the high grade version, which is called Evolve. Of course, it adds a few $1,000s to the price, but it gets you 20-inch alloy wheels. It also gets a locking front diff, a trailer backup assistance feature. You've got power folding mirrors, cargo bed lighting, cargo rails. There's an 8-speaker JBL sound system, and it gets 8-way power adjustable front seats with heating and ventilation and massaging, and the rear seats get heating, and it also gets ambient lighting as well. So it does come with a whole host of standard spec and tech, and when it comes to the safety gear, this ute is loaded. It's got a surround view camera and parking sensors all around as standard, and there's much, much more. I'll tell you all about it later on. But let's talk about some alternatives to this ute, because there are some good ones that you might want to think about as well. I've done plenty of reviews of the cheaper Chinese utes like the Jack T9 and also the GWM Cannon and this ute's little brother, the LDV T60. And if you are just looking to save cash, make sure you watch those reviews. There's links in the description to all of them in there. And look, I want to call out a couple of alternatives that aren't those ones, including the GWM Cannon Alpha. It's available with diesel or a plug-in hybrid powertrain. It has 3.5 ton towing. It is a pretty compelling choice for the cash, although you will have to spend a little bit more to get into the high grade versions of that ute, and it is a very nicely specified vehicle and spacious too, so it could be worth a look. Another option you might want to consider is the KGM Musso, formerly the SsangYong Musso. It is a diesel dual cab with 3.5 ton towing and lots of space and comfort features on the inside, and a pretty bloody good reputation for reliability, that diesel dual cab Musso. So it could be worth your consideration if you are looking to shop on a budget with a 7-year warranty standard. And finally, the Mitsubishi Triton. There are now more options available in the Triton lineup because the brand has just added a number of cab chassis derivatives. And if you are looking for a work truck, a cab chassis might be a big consideration for you because you might want to fit your own tray or your own work body or whatever it may be. This ute doesn't offer you that capability. And there's going to be a number of other accessories on offer for this ute to make it a bit more work ready. And I'm sure there'll be an aftermarket scene for it too. But what would you do? Choose this, choose one of those, or would you wait for the MG U9, which is essentially this ute, but redone to be an MG? Can't wait to see how it's priced. It clearly takes inspiration from the US pickup truck scene, that massive grille, those bold headlights, And this very strong design is certainly intriguing. It's a huge vehicle. It's significantly bigger than the other vehicles in the segment at 5.5 meters long on a 3.3 meter wheelbase. And I'll put all the dimensions on screen now that you need to know, but also I'm going to put up some off-road angles. So yes, there is a large rear overhang there. And if you're wondering about ground clearance and weighting depth, that's on screen now. So obviously it is a unibody truck. So it's different to the other pickup trucks and utes in the segment because there is no split between the cabin and the tub. And that means that for a lot of people, it won't be suitable because it doesn't have the capability of a cab chassis setup. Now, I just want to call out one other thing before I show you the tub, the door handles. So yeah, they're black, but they've also got buttons on them. You get, as standard, this button mechanism to push to unlock, which is great, and you push and hold to lock. Now, if you're a parent, you'll know that that is going to be very, very handy. And there's also a locking tailgate as well, which is a nice bonus. Righto, let's have a look in the tub. Press this button here and you get a slow release opening system, which is nice assistance. And I'll put the dimensions of the tub on your screen right now. That means you can fit a pallet between the arches, and all versions come with a spray-in tub liner, which is a nice inclusion at this price point. You'll also see there are some tie-down points, as you would expect, around the tub, and you can expect a range of accessories on offer too. You've got a tape measure on the tailgate as well. You've got inches on this side, centimeters on that side, so measure however you wish. And you've got a nice assisted tailgate when it comes to closing it. Now, one other thing that is pretty nifty, if you hold the key fob button, it will open the tailgate for you. That is handy if you're away from the ute and you need to let someone else get into the tub. Now, underneath here, you'll also find you've got a full-size spare wheel as well. So it ticks a lot of the boxes, doesn't it? Let's check out the interior though. All right, let's have a look at the interior of the LDV Terron 9, and it is a marked step up from the T60 in terms of instant appeal factor. So it does have a very different design on the inside. As you can see here, you've got a pair of 12.3-inch screens. So you've got a digital driver info display there. Yes, it is cold outside right now, and that is a very nice, handy, big speedo right there. And on this side, you've got a 12.3-inch digital multimedia system, which does have Apple CarPlay and Android Auto available wired or wirelessly, and multiple different menus on screen as well. It's got things like connected services, so yep, there is an online element to this vehicle, so you can basically hook up to the internet and show you some stuff. And you've also got other great inclusions, like this 360-degree camera, which is bloody excellent, I've got to say. You've got a rear wheel view, a front wheel view. You can put it in 3D mode and look around, but hey, look at that. That one has a sunroof. This one doesn't have a sunroof, and the top spec version doesn't have a sunroof. Maybe a sunroof will be added at some point later on. And in fact, that makes me think, in China at the Shanghai Motor Show, there was a version on show with a mid-gate. So that's like a section that you can fold down the rear seats, and it allows you the option to load through. But this vehicle doesn't have that currently available. Maybe that would be a fitting flagship inclusion. Right, let's have a look at some of the other considerations here though. So, of course, you've got radio. Let's have a look at that. AM, FM, DAB, that's good to see. And if we go back here, you've also got an off-road expert view. So you can see there, you'll have a camera view on board. You've also got all the controls that you might want to get to by touching the screen there. Yes, wade sensing, cruise control, hill descent, a compass, and you can see your angles as well. And even a bit more information up here to see what's going on with where you are in terms of gradients and so forth. So that's really, really good tech to see, I would say. And it does sort of give you the idea that this is a more high-tech vehicle than the existing models from LDV. I really do like it. It's got sat-nav as standard as well. That's a nice inclusion. It's not showing up right now for whatever reason, but yeah, This is a pretty high-tech feeling bit of kit. There's a drop-down menu as well with some important inclusions for the stuff that you might want to turn off, like your driver monitoring system and also your lane keep assist and your speed limit assistance. That's all on screen there, so you can quickly turn those bits off if you don't want to use them. I like that about it, but I also really like the fact that you've got a panel of controls here for your climate stuff. So yes, you do have fan adjustments, you do have temperature adjustments, you've got demisters, you've also got a home button to go back to the home screen on there, and lock and unlock buttons. I just wish there was a recirc button because you still have to go on screen to do recirc mode. In the high grade version, this little icon right here is actually illuminated, but I do like this marbleized finish on the dash, and in fact, the finishes in the cabin are really quite good. You've got this rubberized finish on the dashboard, a nice vinyl here, which is actually pretty nice to touch. And the seats in this base grade, they're kind of giving me base model Kia Carnival or some Skoda-ish vibes in terms of the design. Maybe not quite the same sort of material finish, but it's a nice inclusion. And that marble finish continues onto the doors there too. Now I want to show you something else on the doors. Yes, it does have pop buttons. So yes, it is an electrified door opening switch, but if you are worried about getting stuck, there is also an emergency controller down there, and that's basically a little pull tab that will unlock the door for you. So you do have that if ever you're in trouble. And have a look at the storage in the doors, by the way. You've got big bottle holders, a little trench, and then another trench down there. And also, you've got a bit more storage between the seats here. So, pair of cup holders, that's a nice inclusion, and a big tray there as well. And you might be thinking, well, where's the gear selector? And, well, you'd be right to think that it's in a different spot. It's up here, column shifter. And you've also got on that side your blinkers and wipers switch, and your headlights are controlled on the screen. Now the other controls here are pretty simple to get your head around, but let's look at what else is on offer here. So no wireless charging pad, unfortunately. Hopefully they can add one or two. It would be a great inclusion, but you do have some controls there for your drive modes, low range and so forth. And in here, it's a very Ram-like design that. I've put the key in there because it's just out of the way. And you've got a big center console bin and a glass smasher in case you ever need that as well. Auto dimming rear vision mirror, little clip for your parking ticket. You've got vanity mirrors with illumination, which is great, and they don't slide, unfortunately, but you also don't get any grab handles on the ceiling, but you do get hoik handles to get yourself in on both those pillars. So that's good to see. You could probably hang on to those when you're off-roading as well. I think in here you're getting a number of really good inclusions, and other things like you don't have to go onto the screen to adjust your mirrors. You can do that here, and auto up-down windows for all of the positions. So yeah, they haven't really skimped on that sort of stuff, and I like that about this ute. I like a lot about the interior of this ute, but let's check out the backseat space and see what it's got on offer. Rightio, this seat is set for my driving position. I'm 6 foot tall, and I've got more space in here than I had in the last Ford Ranger I drove. Plenty of leg room, in fact, and a decent amount of foot room too. I can even tuck my feet in under there, keep warm and happy. And headroom, again, very good for a vehicle in this class. And there's some other really great inclusions in the back seat here. So you've got the map pockets that you would expect on the seat backs. There's also directional air vents, USB-C and A ports, a little storage container down there too. And in the high grade versions, you also get heated outboard rear seats, which is a nice inclusion. The material finishes are good back here too. You still get that marbly finish, soft elbow pads, soft plasticky bits, and those popper handles as well. And I want to call out one thing that is an important inclusion for parents, I think. You've got ISOFIX points in the window seats and proper top tethers. So they're a bit easier to get the right amount of tension on your top tether strap without feeling like you might be leaving your kiddo's car seat a little loose. It is a wide cabin. It will fit 3 adults across the back, and unfortunately, it won't fit 3 child seats because it doesn't have a middle top tether. That's not unusual in the dual cab ute segment, but I do think that it is a pretty practical thing. Like the fact that you've got a split fold seat setup as well, but there is no folding section for the base of the seat. So It's nailing most of the things that you would expect, and it also has still lots of storage in the doors too, as you can see, multiple pockets, and yeah, it's a very thoughtful and practical and comfortable backseat experience. The Terron 9 comes with a new turbo diesel engine. It's a 2.5 litre 4-cylinder single turbo diesel, and it's got 163 kilowatts and 520 Newton meters. That is more than all the other diesel utes with 4-cylinder engines in the segment, apart from the GR Hilux. And as standard, it comes with an 8-speed ZF torque converter automatic transmission, and it's 4-wheel drive with low range. So all of those considerations seem to be taken care of. But what about weights and capacities? Rightio, I'm going to put some numbers on your screen so you can see for yourself what we're dealing with here. This is a bigger ute that is a bit heavy, starts at about 2,400 kilos curb weight, but it also has a payload of more than 1,000 kilos for all versions currently available. And it's also got pretty strong braked towing capacity, 3.5 tons. That's the industry standard for a mid-size pickup like this. And when it comes to the gross vehicle mass and gross combination mass figures, they're on screen now, so you'll be able to do the maths and figure it out for yourself. But let's go drive it. I'm going to show you what it's like. Okay, time to go for a drive in the Terron 9, and this isn't my usual testing regime. I'm at Lang Lang Proving Ground in Victoria, which is where they used to perfect the quality and comfort of Holdens. And let me tell you, this vehicle is feeling at home on these Australian spec road surfaces. It is really quite impressive in terms of the way that it's handling the lumps and bumps that are being thrown at it. It is a dual cab ute with a ladder frame chassis, remember, and I'm impressed with how this vehicle is coping with the lumps and bumps in the surface, the changing surfaces. This is basically designed to emulate what you will see on Australian road surfaces. The way that it handles through corners is better than any LDV ute that I've driven before, that's for sure. And the bump control is really good. So it does have leaf springs at the back and an independent front suspension setup, but it is rather good at handling these sorts of surface changes, the lumps and bumps, the rough stuff. We're going to go over some railway track crossing sections in a second, and I'm pretty impressed. Like, in my mind, I'm like, expect something similar to maybe a Hilux, maybe not quite as good as a Ranger, but wow, this is pretty impressive, people. Obviously, the fact that it does have a massive wheelbase, and that means the gap between the front and rear wheels is long, and that means that there's more chance for it to disperse with bumps with comfort, does play a factor here. Like, the steering is not, you know, significantly involving, but you do sort of have a good feel of what's happening at the front axle, even though it is maybe a little bit numb feeling. But honestly, when you do need to quickly dart across, it responds well. Now, it has to be said that there is a little bit of load in the tub of this ute, which is sort of basically, according to LDV's people, there to sort of indicate what most people will run around with in their ute most of the time, about 100, 200 kilos, something like that. And it does settle the ride down a little bit, obviously. Haven't driven it without the load in the back, but if it's sort of even close to what this is like, it'll be comfortable and easy going. Unlike some of the other utes in its segment, it also has 4-wheel disc brakes. So if you do really need to get on the anchors, well, you can do that quite easily. It's very strong in the way that it pulls up. So this 2.5 litre turbo diesel is more powerful than most other 4-cylinders out there. So let's see what it's like in terms of acceleration from a standstill. Bit of lag, but whoa, away we go. Got an 8-speed ZF auto, and I mean, it's not lightning fast, but it does pull pretty hard, and yeah, it feels a bit quicker than some of the other diesel 4-cylinder utes out there, that's for sure. And it's a pretty refined and quiet engine too, which I do appreciate, because I mean, Other diesel engines in this segment can be vibey and rattly and not the most refined, but this is pretty good. And the 8-speed auto seems to do a pretty good job of managing the gears as well. Don't have to really think about it, which is always a bonus. You do have paddle shifters if you want to take matters into your own hands with the transmission too, which is a nice plus. Like lots of other utes in the segment, there's a whole host of standard safety technology fitted to this vehicle. So you've got a driver monitoring camera, you've got lane keeping assist, there's a speed sign warning system as well. They all are a little bit annoying, I've got to be honest. The steering system is a bit too pushy, and the distraction warning is a little eager as well. And so is the speed sign recognition tech. All of them are easy to disable though. Like, in other utes or in other vehicles in the segment, you do have to sort of go through multiple menus. Yep, that's the overspeed warning that you're hearing there. You do have to go through multiple menus on screen to turn that shit off if you don't like it. But thankfully with this one, there's just a drop down, tap that button and that one, and then tap that and that, and it's all off. So that took me, what, 6 seconds? The fact that there's a drop down with those easy to manipulate technologies on board just means that this is going to be easier to live with, I've got to say. Alrighty, time to do some off-roading. We are in four-wheel drive high range in mud mode, and I'm going to see what this vehicle is like. Remember, it is a ladder frame vehicle. It's designed to be able to go four-wheel driving. There is low range if you need it, and obviously a number of other inclusions like hill descent control and crawl control, and it does have reasonably good off-road angles, as I showed you before. The rear, I guess, overhang of the tub is probably a consideration in some situations, and sorry if there's a bit of rustling because I am moving around a little bit in my seat and it's cold, so my jacket's still on, but this is doing this stuff pretty well. It sort of doesn't feel like it's as rigid or as uncomfortable as some of the other utes in the segment might feel over this sort of stuff. It's dealing quite well with it. And this is the base grade, so it does have those 18-inch wheels with pretty high profile tires, and they're not a mud tire. This is not an all-terrain tire even, it's a highway spec tire. So the fact that it's going this well on this sort of stuff is pretty impressive, I've got to say. And it's going over these moguls with ease through this bumpy stuff very, very comfortably. The body's staying pretty level, and I feel like I've got a decent amount of control at the steering wheel. Like, it's not the most feelsome steering, you don't have the most bite to it, and it's not too heavy either, which is another plus, I would say. And this diesel engine is doing a really good job, and so is the 8-speed auto transmission. Quite frankly, it doesn't feel like it's out of its depth, and the shifts that are happening, well, they're barely perceptible. I'm keeping the throttle in there. Traction control's off, as you would expect in this sort of situation, and it feels like it is coping with this stuff very well, people. There's multiple different off-road modes that you can choose from: mud, snow, sand, and sport, and custom for other situations, towing modes as well. So there's heaps of different modes that you can pick from. And I guess that's one of the things about it. In this day and age, you have to have those modes to basically make it more appealing to customers who might not be experts at off-roading. And there is that off-road expert view mode, as I showed you, and it's bloody going all right through this stuff, I've got to say. You can set it up so that the car will also toggle between the forward view mode and the off-road view mode more generally, like a 360-degree camera view. And yeah, it is very, very handy. Like, you can make it full screen if you want to as well. So that's really quite good. So I can see what's happening over this crest because I can't see anything apart from bonnet. It does have high range engaged right now. We've got the rear diff lock on just for safety's sake. You don't have to have the diff lock on all the time if you don't want to, but just want to see what it's like when it comes to climbing this sort of craggy section right here. So it is going to be steep, so I'll give it a little bit of a bootful here. Easy peasy, easy peasy. That's 27 degrees up and over. And wow, easy done, people. Very impressive. The next little section is quite a steep downhill, so I'm going up to go down, and I'm just gonna ease over because I know that this is a steep crest and it did bottom out last time. So I'm just gonna ease over. I'm gonna ride the brake rather than use the hill descent because I don't think it's too slippery. And that is very, very steep. Again, almost 27 degrees downhill. So yep, it's steep. It is steep, but yeah, it doesn't feel too cumbersome, too large, too hard to control. It's just the turning circle is a bit of a concern, but with an even better set of tires, this would be pretty bloody capable off the showroom floor, I would say. And I'm sure that there's going to be people out there that fit a decent set of tires and go off-road adventuring in their Terron 9. It's better than I was expecting, I gotta say. This is a fair bit better than I was expecting it to be in terms of the off-road capability. Rightio, time to talk about fuel consumption. On your screen, you'll see the official combined cycle fuel consumption figure for this ute. It's not too bad for a vehicle of this size and this weight and this capability, quite honestly. And then if you're wondering what I've seen, I've done a bit of a test to see what it's like. It's not necessarily my real world testing. I haven't done stop start and traffic and that sort of thing, but on screen you'll see what I saw during my drive here at Lang Lang, and that is pretty acceptable, I would say. It does have a decent sized capacity for the tank, and also it's got, well, no AdBlue as part of this equation. So you don't have to think about that extra consumable that you need to fill up like in some other utes. So that might be a plus for some users as well. This ute hasn't received any form of ANCAP rating just yet, but the related MGU9 has seen a 5-star Euro ANCAP rating, and well, possibly we might see the same sort of score for this ute in Australia soon. But it does have a whole host of standard spec and tech to achieve that kind of score. Things like autonomous emergency braking with pedestrian and cyclist detection. There's adaptive cruise control with lane keeping assistance. There's a driver monitoring camera system, speed sign recognition. You've also got blind spot monitoring, rear cross traffic alert, there's parking sensors around this vehicle and a surround view camera as standard, and a whole bunch of airbags on the inside, dual front side, a front center airbag, and curtain coverage for both rows of window seats. So the safety stuff, it ticks a lot of boxes, and in terms of the actual usability of the safety tech, it seems okay. LDV offers a 7-year, 200,000 kilometre warranty for this model, and that is pretty compelling for the segment. But there's something you need to know. There is no capped price servicing plan available at the time I'm filming this. Hopefully that changes soon, because it would make it a little bit easier to understand what it's going to cost you to own and maintain this truck. Now, your servicing requirements. The first one is due at 12 months and 10,000 Ks, and then it's every 12 months and 15,000 Ks after that. And the roadside assistance coverage, well, I'll put the details for it on your screen. What do you think? Would you roll the dice on a brand that doesn't have a cap price plan? I'd love to know your thoughts. For the right buyer, I think this diesel dual cab ute could be a very compelling choice. It's got the 3.5 ton towing, it's got more than a ton of payload, it's got loads of space and heaps of standard spec and tech. But what would you do? I'd love to hear your thoughts. Do you reckon it stacks up well enough for the price? Have your say in the comments. I'd love to hear from you. And thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing. It does mean a lot. See you when I see ya.